Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One entity which is the most troublesome element in anyone's life, that is mind. Multiple times in multiple shlokas. And even today's shloka is also talking about mind. In this world, even if the person has everything in his life, still he can remain miserable because that culprit mind can keep anyone miserable in this world. Therefore, this mind is such an entity. When it's spoken about the mind, the new people are able to connect. When it is spoken about the mind, the sadhaka devotees who have just began, they are able to connect. When it is spoken about the mind, the devotees who are advancing in bhakti, they are able to connect. And the Siddhas are also able to connect with the mind. Because all of them, they have a different relationship with the mind. Initially, the mind beats them and later they beat the mind. So, there is a difference. There's a difference. Now, as you progress from a materialist to a pure devotee. In this shloka, it is said, Maya rachita antaratma alingya swadehina. So, what is the mind doing? The mind or the subtle body, it covers the jiva. And this mind is Maya Rachita, is made by the Maya. It's materialistic basically. This materialistic mind, what is it doing? It is covering the living entity. Maya Rachita Antaratma, this Maya Rachita Antaratma, this materialistic mind, Alingya. Now see, any word could have been used. Avrata could have been used or whatever, which covers. It says Alingya. This mind is embracing the spirit soul. And what do you think the spirit soul is doing? The spirit soul is also embracing. So, alingya swadehinam. So, mind is embracing the living entity. And what happens because of that? Samsriti chakrakutaha. Because the mind is covering the living entity and making it conditioned to this material world. Samsriti chakrakutaha. The living entity, it remains in the cycle of birth and death forever, and therefore Prabhupada in the purport uses the word Nitya Baddha. Now Nitya Baddha means we don't know when. From time immemorial, we are Baddha in this material world. That's what it means. Baddha means stuck. Baddha means stuck in the cycle of birth and death. So this is what is our condition. And what else the mind does when the person is living in this world? Dukkham Sukham. So this is something that the mind gives. Dukkham and Sukham. It gives distress, it gives happiness. Or I should put it in the other way. It gives us the experience of dukkha, it gives us the experience of sukha. Another very nice thing that is mentioned here is Kalopapannam phalam avyanakti. So avyanakti here Prabhupada translates as creates and vyatiriktam, illusion. So thus being illusion, what happens? Thus being illusioned, the living entity continues doing pious and impious activities, and with time, kalopapannam, phalam, and with time, unavoidable distress, happiness comes into picture. So who is that entity who is creating all this problem? One entity, that is mind. Now this happiness and distress are just experienced in the mind. This is what the shloka is saying. So what is the other praman? So we have from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. It says, Dvaite bhadra bhadra gyana sabha manodharma ei bhala ei manda ei sabha brahma. So it is said, Dvaite bhadra bhadra gyana. So in this world, when people say, oh, this is very good, oh, this is bad, here it is said, sab manodharma. It's all mental speculation. Ei bhala, oh, this is very nice. This will give me happiness. Ei manda, this is not good. This will give me distress. Ei sabha brahma, this is all illusion. So, it's a very nice thing to note that the mind is that entity where, I should say, mind is that platform where happiness and distress are experienced. And see how it chooses, how it gives the experience of happiness and distress. Whatever helps us in our sense gratification, that is happiness. The mind feels very happy to contemplate on that subject matter. That which takes us away from our sense gratification, that is the distress. And mind doesn't like that, doesn't like at all. So in this way, we understand one thing, that mind will like only those activities which will help us in sense gratification. And mind will not like those activities which takes us away from sense gratification, and that is devotional service. Mind does not like. That's the reason whenever there is sense gratification topic that is discussed, people are extremely awake. As soon as the topic of Bhakta, Bhagwan and Bhakti is spoken, mind switches off. And then mind will take us for a ride here and there. And this is something which we have to note in our day-to-day life. This is something that will happen naturally. When some materialistic topic is spoken, even amongst the association of devotees, in some prajalpa, we will be very active, we will contribute also. If not active, we will be active listeners, if not active speakers. That gives a lot of titillation, because the mind is very active. But as soon as something is spoken that takes us away from sense gratification, mind doesn't like that. It switches off. There's a button looks like, it switches off the button. And we also go dumb at that time. And this, all happiness and distress is in the mind. It's not actually outside. It's all in the mind. It's all in the subtle body. How to understand this? Simple example. Your favorite food, say your favorite prasad is some sweet, say malpua or some gulab jamun or whatever. And then you like it a lot, and whenever you get it, you eat. And you feel very nice. You're very happy that day because, oh, this sweet was made. And say your mood is not good that particular day. Sweet is kept in front of you. But then we will not feel happy. We'll just eat it just like that, like any other foodstuff. So your favorite foodstuff is there in front, but then the situation of the mind will decide, will you be happy, experience happiness, or will you experience distress? This is just one example. You can take any example like that and you will see it's not the external setup that is there that makes us happy or distress, but it is the internal setup that makes us happy or distress. Very, very important. This is one part. Now, how does the mind act? So one thing that is very clear in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which Krishna makes it very clear in 3rd chapter, Nahi kaschit shanamapi, that particular shloka, where Krishna is saying that not even for a moment, nahi kaschit shanamapi, not even for a moment a person can become inactive. Why? Because 3 modes of material nature will make the person act and he will be helplessly acting. So now the question comes, where does 3 modes of material nature act? The 3 modes of material nature will act on the subtle body. It doesn't act on gross body. It acts on subtle body. So 3 modes of material nature, sattva gun, rajogun, tamagun, acts on the subtle body. And that's how the subtle body, especially the mind, that goes in 3 modes. The mind is in goodness, or the mind is in passion, or mind is in ignorance. And accordingly, the thought process will be thinking, feeling, willing, will be either in goodness, passion, or ignorance, depending on which mode is currently acting on the mind. So in this way, we will see our thought process will also be like that. In the mode of goodness, we'll feel very nice, good thoughts will be there. In the mode of passion, different thoughts will come up, which will pull us into the fruitive activities, various sexual thoughts, all that in the mode of passion. Ignorance, the same mind, which was very enthusiastic, which was encouraging us in our life, the same mind will give us suicidal thoughts in the mode of ignorance. The thoughts of depression in the mode of ignorance. So in this way, 3 modes of material nature are affecting the subtle body, and the subtle body, especially mind, will do its thinking, feeling, willing based on that. And obviously, based on that, the entire body acts. Because mind is the top, or the king, I should say, the king of all the senses. Therefore, again and again, in various places, even in this purport, Prabhupada is saying that yogis, they focus on mind control. And which yogis? All the yogis. Even bhakti yogis also should control the mind. It's not that we are free from that. But bhakti yogis don't use any other process to control the mind, but bhakti yogis use the devotional aspect or bhakti to control the mind. And we don't control, but we engage the mind by devotional service. Sometimes it's very, it's very difficult to digest that some devotees are going to a psychiatrist or a psychologist or some doctor and saying, can you please help me to control the mind? It means the process is not applied properly. When the bhakti yoga is properly applied in day-to-day life, automatically the mind will be under control. So whenever a devotee is taking shelter of some other process, some other doctor instead of our doctors in the parampara, then it's a problem for sure. It means the process is not applied properly. And the first step in the mind control is to understand that me and my mind are different. Therefore, our dramas are very nice, me and my mind. And we show two different personalities. And two different personalities and how the mind as a person is affecting the living entity as a person. So first step is this, me and my mind are different. The thoughts which are coming to me of sense gratification, these are not my thoughts. Because a living entity cannot think of sense gratification. Because what is the position of living entity? What is the constitutional position of living entity? Jevera Swarup hoy, Krishnera Nityadas. So naturally we are servants of Krishna. That is our constitutional position. So a living entity can never think of sense gratification. Never. So any thought of sense gratification that comes is because of the mind. And therefore in 6th chapter, 6th shloka, Krishna is speaking about this enemy and friend aspect of the mind. Bandhur atmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitah anatmanastu shatrutve vartitatmaiva shatruvat. Bandhur atmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitah. The one who has jitah, the one who has conquered the mind or controlled the mind, that is bandhu, friend. Anatmanastu shatrutve vartitatmaiva shatruvat. But the one who has failed to control the mind, that mind is the enemy. So we will see, as of now, there is no option. Our mind is enemy only. Why? Because this mind is always taking us closer to sense objects and not closer to Krishna. The time when the mind will take us closer to Krishna, then we can say, okay, yes, the mind is our friend. When the mind starts giving different thoughts, that today you should chant 108 rounds. Okay, now the mind is becoming a friend. But when the mind says 16 mein khatam kar bas ho gaya, then you understand, where are we? And the mind has its own wonderful ways of looking at things and making us perceive the things. Even the devotional aspect can be seen in the form of a sense gratification object. And who is that culprit who is doing that? Mind. So currently, there is no option. Mind is enemy only. For newcomers, we ask, so tell, what is mind? Mind is friend or mind is enemy? Some people will raise hand, oh, mind is enemy. Some people will raise hands for mind is friend. And there will be many people who will raise hand for mind is both friend and enemy. But actually, in the conditioned state, mind is only enemy. Because it takes us away from Krishna. Anything that takes us away from Krishna cannot be a friend. This is a definition of a friend in Krishna consciousness. When we say, he is my best friend, that devotee is my best friend, that devotee is my close friend, is that close friend taking you close to Krishna? Okay, then it can be accepted. He is your friend. But he is taking you away from Krishna by whatever means, by whatever talks, by whatever discussions, or whatever activities, he cannot be friend, for sure. So mind cannot be friend. And when the mind gives sense gratification thoughts, what will happen is, mind will give us different hopes. See, only because you don't have this particular aspect in your life, you're not happy. And this is very much valid even for devotees. When we speak to newcomers, okay, it's understood. Even for devotees, it's very much valid. Only because you don't have this particular aspect, my dear friend, you're not happy. Just get this, you'll be happy. And that leads to two aspects. which Rupa Goswami is describing in Nectar of Instruction, which destroys our bhakti. The second shloka of Nectar of Instruction. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyamcha shadbhir bhakti vinashyati. There are 6 elements which Rupa Goswami is describing. And the first 2, atyahara and prayasa, is what we do to get that element which mind is inspiring us to become happy. And Bhaktyāloka, Bhaktivinoda Thakur elaborately describes about atyahara and prayasa. So Srila Prabhupada describes atyahara as over-collecting. It can be food or it can be things. And one more angle, which we can analyze this particular shloka is ahara, atyaharah. So ahara means food, bhojan. So ahara can also mean, or the word bhojan can also mean the different sense objects for different senses. So ahara for eyes is seeing the form, very beautiful form. That is ahara for the eyes. Ahara for ears is nice song, nice sense gratificatory song. Ahara, for nose is smell, nice smell. Ahara for the skin is nice touch. Recently I was reading from 8th canto. There's a description, it's a description of the heavenly kingdom, where Bali Maharaj is attacking the heavenly kingdom, and there's a description which talks about how were the females there. And one word that is used for those females is Shama. The word Shama, our acharyas they describe, and Prabhupada also comments on that. The word Shama stands for their bodies. Their bodies are so amazing. Looks like in the summer, those bodies are cold. And in the winter, the same bodies are warm. Very much apt for best sense gratification in all the different seasons. So just by embracing that lady, so if it is warm outside, you will feel cool. And if it is hot outside, if it is cold outside, when you embrace the lady, you will feel warm. That's Shama. And this is what is the ahara. For what? For the skin. So in this way, we have these different 5 aharas which are there. And one point is very clear. One cannot live without sense objects. See, we have got senses, no? We have got senses and we have been thrown into the ocean of sense objects. But obviously, we cannot live without sense objects. We cannot live without sense gratification. So senses should be gratified. There is no option. Senses have to be gratified. But then, how that gratification should happen, that boundary our acharyas are putting and telling us how it should be done. So atyahara, if one accepts sense objects in the spirit of enjoyment, that is atyahara. This is a definition that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving, very clear-cut definition in Bhaktyāloka. He is saying, if one accepts sense objects in the spirit of enjoyment, maza aayega, maza karunga. Sense object for enjoyment, that is atyahara. And what is not atyahara? What sort of sense gratification is not atyahara? If the sense objects are accepted as the Lord's mercy and only as far as required and favorable to devotional service, that is not atyahara. So 3 points which Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making for categorizing what is not atyahara. First he says, if the sense objects are accepted as Lord's mercy, if we accept sense objects as Lord's mercy. Second, only as much as required. And third, which is favorable for devotional service. These are the 3 elements, which or the 3 parameters which Bhaktivinoda Thakur is telling us to analyze, are we doing atyahara or not? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he orders, and what is that order that is given to us? To accept sense objects without attachment and chant holy names of the Lord. Accept sense objects without attachment and chant the holy names of the Lord. And there, he quotes that shloka, bhalana khaibe ara bhalana paribe. Don't eat luxurious food and don't wear in luxurious, or don't be in luxurious attire, beautiful attire. And another very important thing that he says is, accept sanctified Bhagavat Prasad that is easily obtainable. That is easily obtainable. Not that you have to travel somewhere and okay, I want to eat this item, that item, and then you get it. You see the Acharya's clarity of thought, just putting, for all of us, where he's not leaving any loophole. He's not leaving any loophole. He's saying that accept sanctified Bhagavat Prasad that is easily obtainable. This is devotee's lifestyle. Simple clothes, simple food, and that simple food also which is easily obtainable. Another thing that he is making a point is whatever is required, take only that. Taking more or less is not auspicious for one's devotional service. So only how much ever is required. Yukta ahara viharasya yukta cheshtasa karmasu yukta swapnava bodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. 6th chapter Bhagavad Gita. Bhaktivinoda Thakur quotes this in Bhaktyāloka, and he is saying this is actually valid for yogi, Ashtanga yogis, but this is favorable for bhakti also, so we can accept. Now this is what he is saying. But now, some Grihastha devotees, the householders might say that we have to live our life, we need all these different things. You are saying atyaharah, don't collect, don't have these different things. No, we need it. What should be done? So again, Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives the solution. He says that they should earn their livelihood and save according to religious principles. This is the first thing. If you are earning, then it has to be done on the basis of dharma. Any occupation that violates the dharma, especially various dharmic principles which are there, such occupation cannot be accepted by devotees. See, this entire article Bhaktyāloka is just, these are 12 articles which Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written. It's put in a book called Bhaktyāloka. And here he is talking only for devotees who are aspiring to advance and attain Krishna this life. Only for them this is spoken, not for anyone else. So devotees are aspiring, to attain Krishna Prem this life. For them this is very, very important. So he is making a point that your occupation should be not violating religious principles. And then he makes the point, with this savings, okay, now you are earning, it's a dharmic job that you have, now you have some earnings. So what you should do with that? Serve the Lord, serve the devotees, serve the guests, serve the family members, and then use it for yourself. Look at the priority list that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving. First, serve the Lord. Then next, serve the devotees. Then next, Atiti Devo Bhava, serve the guests. Then serve the family members. And then Bacha Kucha for yourself. So this is the priority list that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving. And then he also makes a point, if a householder collects more than his requirement, then it's an impediment in devotional service and in achieving the Lord's mercy. Very clear. Very clear. So more than required if you're collecting, it will be an impediment, it will be a block in one's own devotional service. And what do you think he might tell for renunciants? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, the Griha Tyagis shouldn't collect anything. Griha Tyagis shouldn't collect anything. Therefore, following this principle in Brahmacharya Ashram, there is no question of keeping some foodstuffs for one's own self, some sweets in the locker or some snacks in the locker. No. Whatever comes, eat, distribute. So that particular day, just take care of that particular day. So Vairagi, a Griha Tyagi will never think of tomorrow also. A Griha Tyagi only thinks of today. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's standard is Griha Tyagi thinks only of this meal, not even the next meal. Next will come, whatever. There are various places where I think it was South Indian Yatra where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going for, and his assistant carried some food or something like that. Okay, no, not this pastime. So what happened is, after the prasad, his servant Govinda, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's servant Govinda, he gave haritaki, the spice to eat, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took that. And then next day, after lunch, again, Govinda, personal servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he asked, so Mahaprabhu, should I get haritaki for you? He said, okay, you can get. And immediately he got it. And Mahaprabhu said, how come you got it immediately? He said, Mahaprabhu, I actually stored it for you. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was really heavy. How can you store it? Griha-tyagis will not store anything. Store anything. Including the spices which are eaten after food. So in this way, very high standard is there for Griha-tyagis, Brahmacharis, Vanaprasthas and Sannyasis. Only this meal. Max to max allowance is given for one day. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll see tomorrow. Krishna will send. These Griha-tyagis depend on Krishna. They don't depend on their own plans. They depend on Krishna. He will give. He will give. Whatever is there, he will give. And it is seen also. It is seen so many times that Krishna will give whatever is needed. So in this way, atyaharah is defined, for all the devotees, for all the practicing devotees. And we will see this mind is such a culprit. It will always make us do atyaharah, atyaharah, and not just eating, not just collecting something. Ahara for all the five senses is triggered by the mind. This is so nice. Touch this is so soft. Smell this is so nice. Eat this is so palatable. Look at that form. Where are you looking? Look here, look here. Look at that form. It's so beautiful. That's exactly what the mind does, and it leads to atyahara. And by that, the devotee's advancement in devotional service is impeded. The impediment is what is this? Atyahara. Therefore, when Rupa Goswami is saying Bhakti Vinashyati, it's actually very right. Bhakti Vinashyati. This is one of the elements which will help us for destroying our bhakti. The second element, that is prayasa. Because now, when my mind is triggering me to do sense gratification, which it always does, all the time, every moment. So, prayasa is something that is but obvious to happen. And what do you mean by prayasa? Prayasa means endeavor. Prayasa, actually the meaning of prayasa is endeavor. But here in this context, when the word prayasa is used in the shloka, it is useless endeavor, useless labor. And there are 5 types of prayas, which Bhakti Vinod Thakur is describing Bhaktyāloka article, where he says, Jnana prayas, Karma prayas, Yoga prayas, Vairagya prayas. And the last one we'll discuss more. Because the first 4 is not something which devotees have much to do with. Jnana prayas. Jnana prayas is he's endeavoring so much to merge in Brahman. Now even that stage is very high. What is that stage of Brahman? The stage of Brahman is na shoshati, na kamshati. Brahma bhuta prasannatma, no na shochati, na kamshati. Can you imagine that state where the person has no hankering, no lamentation? Even that is very high level. But anyways, we ignore all that. Brahma Jyoti and all we don't want. We don't want to merge into Brahma Jyoti. Na kamshati, na shoshati, we'll see it later. Then karma prayas. Karma prayas means many times you will see people saying, do your duty. Especially when someone becomes a griha-tyagi. What about the duties? What about the duties of this world? But Bhagavatam makes it very clear, 1-8, first canto, second chapter, shloka number 8. Dharmasvanushtita pumsa vishwaksena kathasuyat notpadayat adiratim shamaiva hi kevalam. Okay, you might be doing your duties perfectly, but if those duties are not leading to rati, to the katha of Krishna, rati to devotional service, shamaiva hi kevalam. So this shama, the hard labor that you have put, is just useless waste of time. Just waste. That's it. So this is called as karma prayas. You might be very good at executing the duties of day-to-day life, but then if those things are not leading to the ruchi of towards devotional service, then it's all waste, useless waste of time. And especially here, duties, when we say it, we are talking about prescribed duties. Varna dharma, ashram dharma and stri dharma. But anyways, nowadays duties means 9 to 6. Yes, so various duties which people talk about. The third one is yoga prayas. Yoga prayas basically means the person endeavors a lot to get some siddhis. That is yoga prayas. So I'm endeavoring towards getting some siddhis. So there are 8 Siddhis. And a yogi who is there, especially the Ashtanga yogi, and I should say a fallen Ashtanga yogi. Because the elevated Ashtanga yogi will never be eager to get Siddhis. He will be eager to go to higher realm on the spiritual platform. But Ashtanga yogi whose consciousness is very low, such a Ashtanga yogi will aspire for Siddhis, the 8 mystic powers, the 8 mystic powers. And these mystic powers are again material. Become smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest. Finally, you're going to die only. You become small, big, float in the air, become heavy. Whatever it is, finally the person is going to die. You have not crossed the cycle of birth and death. So again, this yoga prayas, which is not leading one to devotional service, ruchi to devotional service, it's waste of time, useless waste of time. Then vairagya prayas. Now vairagya prayas is that some people, they want to become a vairagi artificially. Naiti, naiti, naiti. I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. Artificially becoming a vairagi. And such artificial vairagya that is there, that is called as vairagya prayas. And why it is said vairagya prayas is not needed? Because even we need detachment, even we need vairagya, even we need renunciation. But why is it called as prayasa here? Over-endeavour, useless waste of time. Why? Srimad Bhagavatam 1:2-7, where it is said, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhaktyāloka prayojitah janyatyasu vairagyam jnanam cha yat ahitukam. So it is said, when you practice devotional service, jnana and vairagya will automatically come. Why you need to do separate prayasa? So the sum and substance what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is talking about, jnana prayas, karma prayas, yoga prayas, vairagya prayas, so he is saying why you have to do anything like this on a separate track. Just keep doing devotional service. Whatever is supposed to come will come. You want jnana, it will come. You want vairagya, it will come. There is no need of separate endeavor. That's what is the point that is made here. There is no need of any separate prayasa, separate endeavor. Now the next thing, the last, the 5th prayas that Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about, which everyone can connect with, is over-endeavoring for material enjoyment. This is the next prayas, over-endeavoring. Over-endeavoring for material enjoyment. Second, for worldly achievements. And third, association with materialistic people. So the prayas for material enjoyment, this is what we will see, that mind will trick us to do this particular aspect. It will help us very nicely, give us different ideas. Ye karo, wo karo, ye karo, wo karo. Do from this angle, do from that angle, do on this day, do on that day, do it in the morning time, afternoon time, evening time, you'll be able to enjoy better. So anything that is done for material enjoyment, it's over-endeavour. Second thing, worldly achievements. Kuch kar dikhana hai is dunya mein. Many times people say, I want to do something in this world and then die. In Hindi we say, Jhande gaadna. Yes. Before leaving this world, yes, I want to do something and die. So, what is the use of that? Anything that you do in this material world, you are temporary, your activities are temporary, this world is temporary. I should say, you are temporary, your jhanda is temporary, और जिसमें गाड़ा वो भी temporary. Yes. So in this world, everything is temporary. What's the use of doing that? What's the use of achieving anything in this world? And the third thing, association with materialistic people. Sometimes, people go around, to get the association of top-notch giants of this world. Be it, some politicians, be it some celebrities of sports or Bollywood, Tollywood, etc. You'll see people going like dogs behind them. Why you need to do that? Look at Bhaktivinoda Thakur, what he is saying. Why do you have to do all this? What is the need? Even when it comes to Grihatyagis, there is no need of going behind people like this. We should have our own ways of, even for fund collection or even for preaching, we should have our own devotional ways to do it. Not that we go behind these people as dogs and we try to hear what they say. No. So this is over-endeavour, this is prayasa. See, after describing these 5 prayasas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur highlights one prayasa separately. 6th one. He doesn't categorize in these 5. He highlights it separately. And he says, the prayasa for attaining pratishtha or fame is the lowest of all kinds of prayasa. Oh my God, very heavy. He says, to get fame, to get some pratishtha in the association of devotees If you are doing some prayasa, some endeavor, that is the lowest type of prayasa. Better was jnana prayas, karma prayas, yoga prayas, vairagya prayas. Even good one is the material bhoga prayas that is there. But this prayas for pratishtha, it's the lowest one, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. Lowest. And then he quotes Hari Bhakti Vilas, Sanatana Goswami's statement. Now Sanatana Goswami gives a tight slap for all the sadhakas who are having pratishtha prayas. He says, Sarva tyage pi ahe yaya sarvanartha bhuvaschate kuryuhu pratishtha visthaya yatnam asparshane varam. Now this is a very heavy shloka. He says, Sarva tyage api ahe yaya. So he's saying that even after giving up all the material desires, sarva tyaga, even after giving up all the material desires, the desire for fame is very difficult to give up. You might have given up a lot of material things around in this material world. You might have given up your job. You might have given up the thought, of other sense gratification of this material world, including marriage. You might have given up the thought of various other sense gratification which people naturally, normally, casually do it in this material world. Like breaking the four regulative principles. No meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. This is something that people naturally do it. If you don't do, people think that you are alien in this world. You don't drink, you don't eat meat. Thoda to lete rahenge. People have asked. I remember going to someone's house and some relative of theirs was there in the house, and that relative was serving me. Chai coffee to lenge na aap? नहीं लेते. थोड़ा लीजिए. So people feel it's alien. What nonsense you people are doing. So we might have again sarva tyaga is done. Externally the gross aspects are given up, but here it is said sarva nartha bhuvaschate. But this desire for fame is compared to what? Compared to the root cause of all the anarthas. It's compared to root cause of all the anarthas. And look at the next line. Now what Sanatana Goswami is saying. Kuryuhu pratishtha visthaya is saying, Arey Baba, this pratishtha is vishtha. This pratishtha is stool. So when someone touches the stool, Vaishnavas, what do? They take bath. And so here he is saying, Yatnam asparshane varam. Don't go and touch the stool. Touch the stool of pratishtha. You have to take bath. So here, Bhaktivinoda Thakur quotes Sanatana Goswami, and Sanatana Goswami in Hari Bhakti Vilas is saying, one should carefully avoid touching the stool - pratishtha. That is fame. So this is something which is very difficult to give up, and therefore Bhaktivinoda Thakur separately he writes, Mat prayas karo itna pratishtha ke liye. Don't do prayasa, don't endeavor to get some recognition in the devotee community. Don't endeavor to get some glorification in the devotee community, because this is not something that we have to endeavor for. What we have to endeavor for is Krishna Prem, to please Krishna and nothing else. And then towards the end, giving the conclusion that what a devotee should do. What prayas, what endeavor a devotee should do? Only one prayas, that is bhakti prayas. When a devotee humbly and without duplicity chants and remembers the holy names of Krishna, then real intelligence easily awakens in this way. See, the first knowledge or the first realization that every devotee should get, or the first jnana, realized knowledge that every devotee should get, is sambandha gyan. This sambandha gyan is something which is very, very important, and once the sambandha gyan is clear, what happens is, it becomes very easy for the devotee to endeavor on the path of Krishna consciousness. All the anarthas which are there and all the other nonsense that devotees and all of us do is because of not having sambandha gyan clear. Therefore here, very nicely, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, when you have only bhakti prayas, so at that time, the sambandha gyan becomes very clear. What is that sambandha gyan? Explicitly Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying here. I am spiritual particle, servant of Krishna. Krishna is my eternal Lord. Surrender to Krishna's lotus feet is my eternal nature. This world is like a traveler's rest house. And to be attached to anything in this world will not give me eternal happiness. It's worth noting. I'll repeat. First one, I am spiritual particle. I'm Amsha. Who's Amsha? Krishna's Amsha. You're just part and parcel of Krishna? No. Along with that, I am servant of Krishna. So I'm part and parcel. Second, servant of Krishna. Third, who is Krishna for you? Krishna is my eternal Lord. Okay, but what is your eternal nature as servant? The fourth thing, surrendering onto the lotus feet of Krishna is my eternal nature. Okay, so if surrendering onto Krishna is your eternal nature, then what are you doing in this world? Come on, I'm a traveler. And this world is like a rest house for me. I'm just traveling. I'm traveling towards Goloka Vrindavan. I'm taking rest here, rest house. But then when you're resting, you might get attached to something of this world. No. To be attached to anything of this world is foolishness, because it will not give me eternal happiness. So I'll not be attached. This is called a sambandha gyan. Now very clearly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur so wonderfully, crystal clear. Means if these points are realized, that devotee's sambandha gyan is clear. And you will see that devotee will have full faith, and with full vigor he'll be moving towards Krishna. He'll be doing bhakti very nicely. This is what we can see when sambandha gyan is very clear. Therefore, whatever activities we are doing in our life, I should put forward the point about the mind first. Whatever thoughts mind is giving about sense gratification, that has to be rejected. There is no question of atyaharah and prayasa for sense gratification. No, there is no question of that. So our endeavor should be only one. That is to please the Lord and not for our own sense gratification. And the mind will take us away from from the Lord and take us closer to sense gratification. So we should tell ourselves, this is not something that I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to endeavor in all the possible ways to get closer to Krishna only. And all the other activities of sense gratification, I should give it up, because I am a sincere seeker of Krishna consciousness. I want to sincerely attain Krishna prime. In which life? This life. And such a devotee will be very, very cautious, and he will not budge an inch for the dictation of the mind. And in this particular shloka we recited today, the mind will give us experience of happiness, distress, of illusion and other things. But a devotee, understanding that it is just taking me closer to sense gratification, he doesn't bother about all that. But he marches towards those activities which takes us closer to Krishna. So this I would like to pause here. Thank you very much. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.